Hey everyone, I'm Garrett. This is going to be a quick shot-for-shot breakdown of the latest trailer for Game of Thrones. We start off with a shot of Arya, who is bloodied and terrified, as she then begins running down a hallway. As she's running, we get a voiceover of Arya saying how she knows death and that he has many faces and that she can't wait to see this one. She then holds up a dragonglass dagger and is clearly talking about the Night King here. Also during her voiceover, there were other shots of Davos on the battlements of Winterfell, of Varys in the crypts of Winterfell with Gilly. We then get a shot of the Greyjoy fleet, which is very obvious. Euron's ships, considering that it's the Golden Company that is on these ships. A voiceover begins of Bran saying, "Everything you did brought you to where you are now." We're shown a shot of Tormund and Beric, who, yes, are alive. They're with Dolorous Edd at what can be assumed to be either Castle Black or Winterfell. After this, we get a shot of Bran and Sam, possibly right after or right before telling Jon of his true parentage. Next up, we get a wide shot of King's Landing and then a shot of Cersei smiling with Qyburn standing behind her. This could potentially be her looking at the Golden Company arriving to King's Landing. Then we see a little boy looking onto the Unsullied, who are marching towards Winterfell, as Bran's voiceover continues, "Where you belong, home." I believe that it can be correctly assumed that Bran is talking to Jon in this voiceover. Then we see Jon and Dany riding with the Unsullied toward Winterfell, and then a shot of Sansa's face as Drogon and Rhaegal fly overhead. And then Jon's voiceover begins saying, "They're coming." In the crypts of Winterfell, we see Dany approaching Jon, who we can assume that he's there visiting Ned. Because of where they are in the crypts and how it's shot, I definitely believe that it's Ned that Jon is visiting and not Lyanna. Jon's voiceover continues by saying, "Our enemy doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel." We get shots of Gendry in the forges leading people in building weapons and armor, and then we get a shot of Missandei and Grey Worm kissing, quite possibly for the last time, as it is heavily believed that Missandei will not survive the first big battle of the season. Next up, we get a shot of Brienne fighting Whites who are climbing their way into Winterfell, and what looks like it might be from the same scene, we get a shot of Jaime shouting out for someone or for several people to run. After this, we get a shot of Cersei in the throne room, appearing very upset and beginning to cry, quite possibly over the death of her unborn child, or maybe for a different reason. Maybe Jaime has been killed and she's gotten news of that. Or maybe she's come to the realization that she has been wrong this entire time and that her time is coming to an end. We get an awesome shot of Drogon and Rhaegal flying over what looks to be the Wolf's Wood outside of Winterfell, and then combined with a shot of them flying through a gorge, which are both two beautiful shots. And then we see a shot of Arya, who is seemingly seeing the dragons for the first time, as there are others behind her who are also looking upwards towards the sky to confirm that this is most likely what she's looking at. We get a voiceover of Jaime saying, "I promise to fight for the living and I intend to keep that promise." I think it can be assumed that Jaime is saying this to Jon and Dany to convince them that he is there to help. Over this voiceover, we get a shot of Grey Worm putting on his helmet. We get a shot of Jon at the Heart Tree where Ned would go for when he needed guidance. And then we get a short close-up of the Hound's face, which could be reminiscent of him at Blackwater Bay. And then we get a quick glimpse of someone's hand tightening what looks like a spear, or could also be a sword. Then we get a series of shots of Jon running, some soldiers running to protect the entrance of Winterfell, or at least that's what it looked like. We'll get a shot of some horses running, and then on the footage of Jon and Dany approaching Drogon and Rhaegal, who have just eaten some dinner. This looks like it's going to be where Jon is going to ride Rhaegal for the first time. Following this is a shot of Sansa looking very worried, Arya using a spear as her weapon, and then a shot of Dany closing her eyes, Tyrion looking up as if he's waiting for some type of response from someone or something. And then we go to black just as one of the dragons breathes right into the camera, very similar to how they did this in the season 6 trailer. And then this is all climaxed with the final shots of Brienne, Podrick, and Jorah outside the gates of Winterfell, surrounded by soldiers who are all prepared to fight, with one final shot of a dead horse's hoof coming down, signaling that the end is here. We're then shown the release date of the final season of the series that we have all grown to love, which is going to be April 14th, just over a month away.